Have you ever thought about teaching English abroad, but you get overwhelmed by the options? Maybe by the tropical views in Taiwan, or the vibrant lifestyle of South Korea, or even the luxurious lifestyle in the UAE. Making a right decision can actually be difficult. However, it is very important as this can change your life. And in today's video, I'm going to be going through 5 countries you can move to as an English teacher, specifically to teach, of course. So I'm going to be talking about the entry requirements. I'm going to be giving you some insider tips to make it through, of course, cultural tips to help you get along or adjust when you get there, as well as the salary and benefits of working in those countries. So country number 1 is Taiwan, number 2 Japan, number 3 Vietnam, number 4 the UAE, and country number 5 is South Korea. My name is Tato, for those who don't know me or for those joining us for the very first time today, and I am an ESL educator currently living and working in Taiwan. Working in a different country, unlike working in your own country, is actually different. Apart from the high salaries that of course most teachers are attracted to, you just immerse yourself in different beautiful cultures and you just tend to learn about yourself more as well as the people around you. As an English teacher in Taiwan, I can tell you firsthand how challenging and how beautiful it is living abroad. This is why I've put this video together to guide you. So let us get straight into our topic for today. So country number 1, Taiwan. In order to work in Taiwan, the entry requirements are a bachelor's degree in any field, a TEFL, or a TESOL certificate, which is preferred but not mandatory. And then they need native or near native English proficiency. The salary and benefits, monthly salary ranges from 60,000 Taiwan dollars to 90,000 or even 100 Taiwan dollars, which is 1,900 US dollars to over 3,000 US dollars. And there is health insurance included, or the benefits. You get health insurance, housing stipends, and holiday pays. So I would like to explain this further. First of all, there are different types of institutions in Taiwan you can teach English in. We have public schools, we have international schools, and we also have cram schools. So in public schools, all the benefits are given. You get quite a number of benefits, including flight reimbursement and also health insurance and longer holidays. So your work experience will determine the salary you get, right? If you have a lot of working experience, then good for you because you will be earning more, right? And in public schools, working hours are fixed. Like you work a normal 9 to 5 or 8 to 4 job, meaning that you will be working for 8 hours per day and you cannot leave the school premises. Of course, I guess it depends on the school you are in or how they do things, but in some schools you're not permitted to leave the premises during those working hours. And then next we have international schools, which are quite flexible in that you only need to go to work or to the school when you have lessons. Of course, in some schools you may need to be there maybe an hour or 30 minutes before your lessons begin. However, as I said, things differ, rules differ, of course, code of conduct differ based on each and every school. So I cannot generalize, but all in all, that's how most international schools do things. And lastly, we have cram schools, which are schools that learners go to after their normal school to learn English. So I would just describe them as some kind of formal extra English classes, right? And these ones are the most flexible because the working hours begin from the afternoon till the evening. So if you are somebody doing many other things or with other commitments, this would actually be the best option for you. And the rates differ. However, as I said, the salary ranges from 1,900 Taiwan dollars, excuse me, 1,900 US dollars to over 3,000 US dollars. Now, moving on to the lifestyle in Taiwan. Taiwan's cost of living is actually really low, and it is a beautiful place to be in. Well, if you love noise, if you love busy places, you can teach in areas that are crowded, that are really busy, like Taipei, for example. But if you really love your space, you love your peace, you can live in more quiet places just like me. Also, the cost of living tends to be a bit higher in cities and busy places compared to this quiet places like the place I live in. It is quite cheaper to live here. Rent is not as expensive as it is in Taipei. However, I feel like Taipei also has its own advantages, like you get services quite closer to you, unlike people like me who are quite far. I have to travel for 2 hours to go to Taipei, but it depends, I guess, on what exactly you want or what your preference. So here are some insider golden tips. Number one, you can learn some basic Mandarin to maneuver around. I mean, this is not mandatory. There's no pressure at all. I did not rush to learn Mandarin. I only know a bit to help me, go around. But even without Mandarin, I was good, meaning that you can actually live here or easily live your life even without learning Mandarin. And insider tip number two, you can get your documents notarized and legalized even before applying, because that increases your chances of landing a job. Because when companies are recruiting, they tend to take people who are ready to move over those who are yet to begin the process. It's easier to get somebody to move here as soon as the school needs an individual, instead of getting to wait for months for the teacher. So to improve or increase your chances of being here as soon as you want to be here or as soon as possible, then I would advise you to get your documents readily notarized and legalized. Now let's move to country number two. And country number two is South Korea. So the entry requirements for teaching English in South Korea: number one, we have a bachelor's degree, and number two, we have a TEFL certificate or TESOL certificate. And number three, South Korea needs native English speakers from a selected number of countries. South Korea pays from 2.1 to 2.8, sometimes even go up to 3 million won. It depends on the type of school, I guess, you work in. And just like in Taiwan, contracts differ in South Korea, right? The workload is a lot as compared to Taiwan, right? Most teachers in South Korea say that they have a lot of workload, however, manageable. The most exciting thing about working in South Korea also is that you get free housing. At times, you may even get flight reimbursement, just like in Taiwan. So for South Korea, I'm going to recommend programs like the EPIC or the JPIC. That's for public school positions. So to get along or to live smoothly in South Korea, you can just familiarize yourself with the basic etiquette. The cost of living in South Korea is a bit higher when compared to Taiwan. And also, there's a fast-paced life. It's kind of busy. It's busier than Taiwan. And now I would like us to move on to country number three, which is Japan. And the entry requirements for teaching English in Japan: definitely a TEFL certificate or maybe a TESOL certificate, a bachelor's degree, and they hire both native English speakers and non-native English speakers, right? So non-native English speakers may be people from Nigeria, people from other countries who normally find it difficult to find English teaching jobs in the countries because of certain restrictions. Native English speakers as well are welcomed to teach in Japan. One thing I have learned about Japan is that it is easier to find a job if you are already in Japan. However, certain schools, of course, do not mind going the long way of bringing teachers who are still abroad. Most of the time in Japan, schools offer medical insurance. Sometimes they partly fund the teachers' housing or accommodation cost, and they also give yearly bonuses. The salaries in Japan range from 1,700 US dollars to 2,500 US dollars. Just like in other countries, public schools in Japan are less demanding than private schools. And of course, there's a high level of professionalism expected in Japan. Schools tend to be really strict when it comes to lesson delivery and many other things, of course, that you should know as a teacher. And when it comes to the lifestyle and the cost of living, of course, places like Tokyo tend to be really expensive, but other cities or other places which are rural are less cheaper, just like I explained with Taiwan. So living in big cities is kind of expensive, but if you don't really want to spend a lot of money and your main aim is to save a lot of money, then you might as well go for a smaller town or even a rural area. Now, here are some insider tips. You can apply for the EPIC program if you want to teach in a public school. Most of the time, to apply for this program, you have to go to the embassy in your home country, and of course you will do your application right there. I don't know if it can be carried out online as well, but yeah, you can research further on the EPIC program. Also in Japan, when it comes to dressing, they are really strict. So you need to learn more about the Japanese culture and also their expectations, especially when it comes to dress code. They are really strict when it comes to how the teachers dress. The last time I got an interview opportunity for a school in Japan, I was told that I would have to wear long-sleeved clothes, basically a shirt, a formal skirt or pant, and formal shoes. So that is how they dress in Japan, and you do not have to show your tattoos if you have any. So you have to make sure that they are always covered. You cannot go to work with them visible. And yeah, that's it about Japan. If you're watching this video still after this far, please don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that each time I post a new video, you do not miss out. For now, let's make it fun, guys. You can comment with a heart to show that you have watched up to this far. Or maybe you can ask questions on some things you felt I did not touch on a lot, or the questions you still have on the things I left untouched. Right? More engagement on the video actually helps. We are able to reach a lot of other people looking for videos like this one. So you might as well just comment with a heart to say, hey, I'm watching up to this far, or ask your question if you have any questions. Now let us move on. Our next country is Vietnam. So the entry requirements for landing a job in Vietnam, a TEFL certificate or TESOL as well, and also your bachelor's degree. Sometimes they ask for a proficiency exam. And also they mostly hire native English speakers, although sometimes they are open to taking non-native English speakers. I just feel like, however, in Vietnam, it is getting more and more difficult to teach there, especially for non-native English speaking countries. Most Vietnam schools right now, or the positions advertised most of the time, state that they are looking for European teachers well, like they mainly state that they are looking for native English speakers, and they normally list the countries. However, if you are not from those countries, you should at least be from European countries. So it's getting a bit trickier to teach in Vietnam right now. And salaries range between 750 to 2,500 US dollars. If you go on the internet, though, you surf the net to research about teaching English in Vietnam, they will tell you that salaries range from 1,500 or even 1,200 US dollars, but that's not the case. So you need to be able to negotiate. This is an insider tip. You need to be able to negotiate with your school when it comes to your salary, especially if you are a non-native English speaker, because in Vietnam, they tend to pay non-native English speakers less. They might even offer you 750 US dollars. Take it or you leave it, right? And most of the time they provide accommodation, or sometimes they fund a bit of accommodation. They may give you half, or however you and your school will plan, right? But the cost of living is really low, which makes it up, I guess, for the little salary and maybe the school not even providing you with accommodation. The cost of living is really low, rent is really cheap, and I just feel like it is one of the most laid-back countries. If it wasn't for the little salary, I would definitely opt for teaching English in Vietnam, because I just love the culture. I love the laid-back lifestyle. I love the views, and Vietnam is just beautiful. And yeah, the need for English teachers in Vietnam is really growing, both in the urban areas as well as the rural areas. So if you are looking to teach English in Vietnam, I'm gonna advise you to do a thorough research and don't only focus on big cities, okay? You can just try to go deep and check the rural areas as well to increase your chances of landing an English teaching job. And one other thing in Vietnam, one other famous thing is that most teachers work in different schools. Like, you may be given a position in school A and also school B. At times, the schools may be close to each other, so it won't be a hassle to travel from one school to another. But there are times where the schools are quite distant from each other. So it is very important for you to learn to ride a bike when you get there, because it is the most effective mode of transport. So even if you don't know how to ride a bike, don't worry about it. You can learn when you get to Vietnam, but being able to do that can actually work to your advantage. And yeah, that's it. Now let us move on to our last one, being the UAE. Now, teachers are in high demand in the UAE. Let's talk about Dubai and others. Actually, the requirements for teaching in the UAE, they need a teaching degree or a degree in the related field, right? And they also need a teaching license. Some schools still ask for a TEFL or TESOL certificate, but I guess it depends on whether you are going to be teaching in an international school or in a public school. So the thing about the UAE is that they are specifically looking for teachers. When it comes to their requirements, I feel like they are a bit strict, because they do not take any degree. They look for a degree related to the position available, right? For example, if say you studied journalism and they are looking for a communications teacher, then you may land a job, but they are specifically hiring teachers with a bachelor's in education or even a master's in education. Now, when it comes to the salary and benefits, salaries in the UAE range from 3,000 to 5,000 US dollars. However, the cost of living is really high in the UAE. And also schools offer medical insurance, and the salary is tax-free. The last time I checked, the salary is tax-free, and also they offer free accommodation. So if you want to save money, you may try to avoid a lot of luxurious temptations that the UAE could actually catch you on. I think the most amazing thing about teaching English in the UAE, or even teaching any subject in the UAE, is that you are exposed to the luxurious lifestyle in big cities. I just feel like it's different and beautiful. Well, leaving out the expensive cost of living. So the insider tips for teaching English in the UAE, they say: one, avoid luxurious, expensive lifestyle temptations. And number two, you can try to socialize and connect with the teachers who are already in the UAE, because they may connect you with leads for job opportunities available or teaching opportunities available in the UAE. And lastly, I would just like to remind you that you should try as much as possible to stay clean if you are planning to teach abroad, or if you are planning to move abroad, because in all these countries I mentioned, you will not get a teaching job if you have a criminal record, because one of the things they need that I didn't mention as I listed all the other things needed is a police clearance certificate or background check. So you need to be clean. You need to have no criminal record, otherwise you will not find a job here. As well as a medical certificate, you may have to go through some medical tests, and this is different in every country, right? You may have to do certain tests in a certain country, and then the other country may ask you to do certain tests. They're not always the same for all countries, but if you are planning to work this kind of jobs, I'm gonna advise you to try as much as possible to stay clean in every way. If you are ready to move to these countries also that I mentioned, you may start to work on your documents. As I said, I'm gonna advise you to do further research and also begin to process your documents, and you should start applying as much as possible. The process is actually different for everyone. It is shorter for others and longer for others, so don't lose hope. Be persistent. Apply until you get what you are looking for. And please don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, and to hit the notification bell, baby, so that each time I drop a video like this one, you do not miss out. So thank you. This is the end of our video. I'm looking forward to seeing you again in the next video, and you can keep those comments coming if you still have questions on these countries I talked about. You are welcome to raise them in the comment section, and I will attend to them one by one as usual, baby. I will give you the answers you need. But for basic things that you can find on the net, please don't be reluctant to research, to browse through the net, and to find your answers. I'm wishing you all the best. Thank you.